Hello, beautiful human.
Hello. Happy first 30 minutes.
What's going on?
5 Seconds of Summer is here on the new studio. Temporary new studio.
I like this studio.
Are we live on the air?
Yeah, we are.
We
We're
are
live.
live.
We're live.
It's
We're
not.
live.
It's not about how it looks.
Okay. Be honest, though. How does it look to you?
Okay, we're currently sitting in this awesome creative space, I would call it. It's around 15,000 square foot, which I asked the lady who let us inside. I said, wow,
What square
how many
footage
square foot is this?
Did you really?
Because I'm getting older.
What are you, 50 years old? What's the square footage? What's the power on you in this place?
And it looks like we're about to talk up a storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the
a
exposed
hub.
AC units. They're nice.
It's called industrial, Michael.
The ducts, yes.
You gotta have the ducks. There's so much to get into, and I don't even really know where to start. But I guess we'll start with Complete Mess. Let's start with the top of that song. Are those birds chirping at the very beginning?
You're damn right they are.
Yeah.
They are. Are they real birds or are they fake birds?
It's actually Callum doing a bird impression. You want to give it to him?
Stop.
Yeah, Callum, let's hear it.
Nah, it's a lie.
Yeah.
I lied to
The
you.
gate.
And then we pitched him.
Yeah, yeah.
Skip the high
But
end.
there's a story behind it.
There is.
Do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, it's a great story. I love this story.
Okay.
You have my full support with this
I
story.
like you explaining this story.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I guess it's a pretty long.
yeah, so we're in Joshua Tree. We went on a creative writing trip together. The pandemic had happened, and we were like, wow, we can actually move around and record. We don't have to stay in one place.
How do you realize that, though?
I think you loosen the grip on the process and everything. And we were just like, damn, we'd love to just chill out together. That would be really useful for our relationship. So we went out to Joshua Tree to hang out. We stayed at this studio and we're writing, and we'll talk about that later. But there was this wonderful groundskeeper called Byron. Am I on course?
Mhm.
And he's a,
On course. I love that.
and he's a lovely gentleman. And he's quite stoic, though. He's very quiet. He's meandering around this house we're staying in.
It took us a
At-
really long time to break through.
And at first, we're like, damn it. Like, our manager said we'd have this house to ourselves. Like, there's this guy here. What the hell's going on? And Byron basically unfolded. Like, he blossomed. So he started opening up to us. He said, I like having you guys here. He starts cooking us pancakes. He starts giving us
ice cream.
He starts giving us philosophical wisdom that only an older desert cat could give you. And one morning I wake up and he sits outside every day with his cup of coffee on his chair, and we're looking at the hills and the desert. And I sit next to him. I go, morning, Byron. He goes, morning. He goes, see all these birds? I raise these birds. I hatch them here. That's why they come here every day.
And there's a lot of birds.
And there's 400 of these beautiful little desert birds. So we put them in the track as an ode to Byron.
Whoa.
And his birds.
Yeah.
They're called Byron's birds.
Yeah, please.
Can we deattach this so I can mic drop too?
Yeah. It only took us 2 days to attach it. So do you finish the entire album while you're in Joshua Tree? Or what do you complete while you're there with Byron and his birds?
We don't know what we're doing. We're just making stuff.
That was
Yeah.
the beauty of it, is we just went out there and we were just writing for fun, which was like, we didn't really have the goal of like, okay, today we're going to, finish this or write this or do that. We just wake up and we'd, have a little studio at the place, but we wanted it to be somewhere that felt like remote enough that we could disconnect. And, some days we'd wake up and we'd be like, you guys feeling creative today? And we were like, honestly, not really. So we'd be like, all right, cool. Let's just stay in and just friggin' play video games or whatever. And we were just hanging out together and like with the ability to know that we could go and create whenever we wanted to. And there was like no expectation and there was no pressure and it was just really fun.
But, Byron really affected us because he was like the groundskeeper, and he was kind of like, it was a side quest lesson series, not for us as Five Sauce, us as just people learning from this older gentleman.
Yeah.
But taking that wisdom and injecting it into the art that you're creating, and in that moment, an extension of you. But like, are there signs amongst the group that you kind of like see that you need to get away? And let me backtrack. Fixing one's relationship allows you to create in a different way, right?
I feel like at that time, we hadn't seen each other very much anyway, because it was particularly in California, you couldn't really go anywhere. And it was like that point, it was still like in that earlier stage of COVID where everyone was actually in their own home for months at a time. I don't know if you guys remember that. So that was one reason for going away. And the other one, intuitively, we just needed to do something else and just like more approach the creative process as more of like let's just go out somewhere and, as in the desert, and see what happens. And I think even those times where we're like, oh, we didn't really feel like making much today. And there'd be other days we'd make 5 ideas, you know, and then one of them would be great. It's like that approach to it was just much more, I don't know, the songs reflect the way that it was made, if that makes sense.
Totally. How did you know that it was time to create? Does somebody lead the charge when you're in a setting like that, or?
Because of our background, I guess scheduling being so intense and our work ethic developing from like 16 to 27 or whatever, we're actually naturally working at a pace, you know, not even from choice, just because it's the way we know how to create. Even though we are illustrating this kind of laid back vibe, naturally we still maintain a lot of creative momentum just because that's the way we were kind of trained.
By the way, like even look at COVID, right?
Yeah.
You take the opportunity to release 2 solo projects, each of you, which we'll dive into, which was really some of the most vulnerable art I've ever heard from both of you. Like really, truly incredibly beautiful. Is that connected to this concept of loosening the creative grip that you mentioned earlier?
It's just accepting that your stories are important. And we have a story as a band, you know, and loosening the grip is, to me, not trying to be anybody else. Like, what do we have internally as guys? What are we? Who are we? What do we want from this music? What do we want to communicate, you know? So I guess we started to accept our lyricism more, the lyrics that we just write together. We started to enjoy, you know, what we got.
Do you enjoy what you got more knowing that what you can do on your own? Because there is creative differences between each one of your solo projects and what you do as a group. Because truly, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it does sound like when I listen to a 5 Seconds of Summer song, you all have a different color of paint and it comes together to create a painting that is unique and different every time, but it's all of your colors distinct.
Yeah. You even learn that even more so doing something separate or something else creatively. You know, you don't know, like, you love this band so much and you've been in it for so long, and be able to step out of it and be like, oh my God, that thing is amazing and I'm so glad I'm a part of that. And it like just gives you a different perspective on it.
And also when you do a solo thing, what I discovered was from outside, it's like, yeah, I'm a drummer from the outside perspective of 5 Seconds of Summer. But what my main role inside the band is actually way more human than that. I'm a communicator. I'm a guy who, you know, does a specific set of sociological things to make this ship move forwards, you know, inside the band. But when I did a solo project, I'm a singer. I'm just a singer and a lyricist, which is like something that I don't usually do or what I focus on inside 5 Seconds of Summer. My job is really different over here. So it didn't feel like they were similar at all.
Do you connect with a side that you feel has been laying dormant? Because even if you look at the definition of what a super bloom is, it's a rare desert botanical phenomenon in which an unusually high proportion of wildflowers whose seeds have laid dormant in the desert soil germinate and blossom.
Yeah, because I realized I called it that because I needed to blossom as an artist individually really quick because I didn't want to get in the way of the band at all.
But do you feel like doing your solo projects makes you a better member of the band?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Way more chilled out. Down for the ride. Down for anything. Down for like not trying to like sing more, not trying to get in any other lane, just laying in my vibe. This is what I'm good at. These guys appreciate me for this particular thing that I do in this band, and I love it. And I'm grateful to be involved.
Have you all had similar realizations to that? Like this realization of feeling grateful to be here and understanding like what you do is what you do and nobody else can really take your spot? Because I feel like a realization like that is kind of important if you plan on having a lasting group.
Yeah, I mean, this album making process has been so, I don't know, emotionally and creatively fulfilling for us, like with Michael producing. We've written a lot of songs over the last 10 years, but to have songs like particularly Complete Mess be just the 4 of us and it not be like, it's just what the band sounds like at this particular time. It wasn't like, oh, well, we're writing with this person, so maybe we do something like this or whatever. And I love our songs, but this one just feels different because it's just whatever happened in that hour of time. Because the song came together in like an hour. Whatever the band was feeling at that point just was put down on Ableton. And then it was like, now here it is.
But how does that record start? Does it start with a piece of production that you're writing to? Does it start with this concept or this idea that you're in love with somebody who completes you yet makes you a complete
So it
mess?
started from like, we tried so many different ways of writing songs while we were out in Joshua Tree, and we tried, if it was on the piano first and then applying it to like the, a bigger production, or
That's
doing,
interesting.
just trying different things. And with this one, we were getting into this sort of vibe of this other song that was playing, and I kind of had this idea for this kind of chord progression that was, the whatever the main chord progression is in Complete Mess, which uses like a minor fifth, which is really unconventional. And I was like, okay, before we get to the end of this song, I want to have this chord structure and this beat done so that we can all listen to it at the exact same time. Because sometimes there's something about just like hearing something for the very first time that can just really like invoke some sort of inspiration in you of this idea. And so I was like making this beat without hearing anything, because while this song was playing, I had everything on mute, and I was like, and then as soon as the song ended, I just played the beat, I guess I hate calling it a beat because I'm not like a beat maker. You know what I mean? I'm not like making hip hop beats.
I guess you are a beat maker.
But like the kind of chords that were up. And then we listened to like one turnaround of it, and Luke just immediately gets up and he was like, yo, I have an idea that's either
Everybody listen to me
It was
now.
like, I have an idea that's either like the worst thing ever or is like pretty cool, and I can't tell which one it is. And then he sang the hook of, the Complete Mess part. And it was just like, it just all happened so freaking quick.
You made that deaf essentially because you're listening to something else and then you're scientifically based on what you know about the keys of music putting it together, and by chance you hit play and it works.
That happens a lot with us too, because it's and a lot of people, unless you've really explored this kind of thinking, it's combined consciousness, It's like what we are experiencing, we created a consciousness that the four of us share. And even like Luke and I will often, because we write lyrics so much together, we say things that at the same time. We did it last night.
Yeah, we did
That's
that.
crazy.
And we just like, when we're talking, we'll just say the exact same thing because we're buzzing. Or Callum, we can view each other's minds almost when we're creating together, and it's so natural now that it's quite a really interesting phenomenon of hanging out, understanding everybody's DNA musically so deeply, and understanding everybody's range of language, in particular word bank that the band would use.
Yeah. And you can kind of like understand the sort of energy in the room, and if it's time to like, we just had, this sounds really trivial, but we just had dinner and we were like, oh, okay, and we usually after, super late at night, we wouldn't really create music like really late. We would kind of just hang out with each other. But there was this one night where we kind of walked back into the studio kind of thinking that we were just going to wrap up. And then as we were listening to that song, there's kind of like, this unwritten thing of like, oh, okay, there could be a really cool idea that comes out of this. And then you just dive into it and make something like that. And
How do you know not to fight those moments? Because you could have easily been like, let's just call it a night.
I call it training, but it's the way we developed as artists. Like, we wouldn't ever do that. We know that you need to be open to random events happening, and you also need to be floating above the room to be consciously aware of when they happen. Because you need to train yourself to go, oh, actually, I've experienced this before when I walked away. I missed that. I missed that song or something. It's always those moments where the resistance becomes obvious, when you feel like the creative wheels are in motion and someone says, well, I'm going to go to bed now. It's like, well, I'm not, because I've learnt my lesson. We've felt this before, we're probably 20 minutes away from a breakthrough.
Do you feel like you've lost quality records to this gotta go to bed now?
It's an individual thing, but I feel like every time I've felt like walking away, or every time I felt like, bugger this, I'm done. Then it happens every single time. Every single time, to me personally, that, I've felt like throwing in the towel going, no, I'm done now, I'm giving up on this. It always manifests right after you push through that barrier. And that's the difference between
Yeah, it's the difference between greatness and
And I don't want to say that because I don't really know. It's just what I'm experiencing.
close.
When everyone's talking about this bass line in the song, when did the bass line come in? Because I
don't
don't.
know.
I thought the bass line was first, but it wasn't. Then it was the chorus
I'm not
beat
sure.
first, and then the bass line
It
came
was
in.
like the beat with like a respace and like one synth under it, and then we started to like layer different stuff and had the idea of like just got down the like main idea of it, and then we were like, all right, that's pretty good for night's work. And then we were like, let's take fresh ears on it, and then we reapproached it again the next day, and that was when we started to like figure out structure and how it worked and everything. But
And with songs, we divide and conquer. So after we have the skeleton of the song and the main idea, we go, all right, Cal and I will go write verses on the patio. And Luke, you get a more in the pocket vocal with Mike, and we'll meet back up in 2 hours.
right.
Whoa.
Callum and I will present some verse vox. How about this? And then Luke will be like, totally, I dig that. Michael will be like, I don't really like this part. And then we regroup again. And then by the end of the day, we pretty much, everybody has been working on separate parts of the song, and we have a full song.
And this comes from understanding everybody's strengths,
Yeah.
trusting
Yeah.
everybody, no egos.
And also now that Michael is producing and doing the recording, you know, as a songwriter, who you're working with.
yeah.
So you shoot lyrically for what that person in the captain's chair will allow to be in the song.
This music is so authentically us, and it's able to sound, you know, so representative of us because we were so easily could communicate how we wanted stuff to sound.
Is this the first full body work that's just you guys?
We have worked with many producers, and whilst working with them, we, you know, and a lot of people think, okay, the producer must do so much, but the producer is essentially zooming out and capturing whatever tools they've got to create, and us being, I don't like to call us tools, but individual, you know, you're the spanner, I'm the hammer, you know, he's the wrench and he's the jackhammer or whatever.
That's a good
And
advice.
the producer's looking at all the tools and, okay, how do I create something out of this? But it became, well, we know how to use the tools that we have better than anybody because we have been attempting to master those tools since we were kids.
You are the tools. You've
Yeah.
learned from people who have done exactly what you just described.
We're not Tool.
So you,
Tool is very
yeah,
different.
so you like sharpen it over the years, and then all of a sudden it becomes sharper than anybody else's, you know, way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because we just know it. So it would actually take more energy to spend time describing what you want it to be to somebody else rather than just doing it yourself.
But would you feel like there's a little more pressure on you guys now since it is just you and people are judging the music and like only you guys to judge?
That feels so good.
Yeah, I
That's
guess so.
powerful. That's like, we did this. We live and die by this. This is our words, our sounds, our concepts, our way, you know? And that's what people will truly become fans of in the long run, I think. The identity, the truthful identity, you know? And that's what our hustle is. We want to work on ourselves to show people that we will not squander this gift, you know? Like, you've given us so much opportunity to have the resource to record ourselves, to write this music, to do this thing. So we don't take it lightly. We just work on it year after year.
How is this album going to be different than the fourth? I mean, and also, is it done?
Yes. Well, yes, it is done. It's done, right?
How do you know it's done?
Pretty much.
It's some
Like,
songs
pretty
are still
much.
being mixed, but they're
Right,
like
yeah.
the songs are
very
written and
close.
recorded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Compositionally, it's finished.
Are you
Right.
just going to call it 5 Sauce 5?
What do you think?
Yes.
Why? Would that let you down creatively?
Yeah.
If you heard every lyric on this record, say you got 20 songs of personal experiences, and then someone's like, 5 Sauce 5?
I mean, how many opportunities do you have to name your album 5 Sauce 5?
We're letting you in the band right now. Like,
You're either going to make the case or not.
I believe, as the 5th member,
Okay.
that it should be 5 Sauce 5.
Please.
Okay.
and because it's easily rememberable,
No, that's what Dan,
digestible.
no, this is what Dan does. He just makes very general blanket cases for the most ridiculous things and supports it with absolutely nothing.
You know, it's not that ridiculous.
It's not.
It's not that ridiculous.
Not many
That's
bands have a
very
chance to do that.
logical.
What?
Strive for something a little bit more creative.
Okay,
man.
but here,
We've
here's,
worked so hard on this album.
here's the
we go
pro-
all the way to fucking Joshua Tree.
Yes,
we sit in traffic to get there.
Okay.
And you're gonna come back with that.
So that opinion. So you guys are good creative guys. So get this.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes.
So you either give it an overly creative name that could be slightly forgettable, and then it undermines the actual power of the creation because you cannot remember what that was called. What was it called again? 5 Sauce 5 to me is unforgettable.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that would be the only reason I liked it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with.
But I
But if-
also feel like any other name you think of, you'll think, is it better than 5 Sauce 5?
Exactly. You know, because we could be sitting on Dark Side of the Moon or Back in Black
Versus 5 Sauce
versus 5 Sauce 5. And then what do you do?
You know, good thing I'm not in a band, actually.
That was very, very funny to see from our perspective.
It's really difficult.
Do you guys have other names floating? I would assume so.
Absolutely.
we do.
We're kind of like running like individual non-political campaigns at the moment. Like I'm running for one name. Luke's kind of on the fence seeing who he'll side with in Parliament. Like
Who are we campaigning to? Who were the decision
Just each
makers?
other.
At the
Just
moment,
each
we're
other.
campaigning to you.
the democracy that is the band.
The
you know?
people.
Yes. We are the people. The four of us.
Who has
people.
thrown out a suggestion so far other than Ashton?
There's been 60 plus names.
yeah.
Like while we were in the studio, we used to have these little post-it notes everywhere where we each day would come in and write in like another 5-10
Yeah.
names.
I'd randomly walk up to the guys. I go, all right, work time. I'll be like, give me 10 names.
Everybody write out 10 names.
It's like school.
Is that the process though?
Yeah.
How many names do you need until you can narrow it down?
But I tell you what, the
Like
thing is
50?
though, as many names as we write, we're always like, is it as good as 5 Sauce 5? Every time we keep coming back, we're like, okay, thinking about all of our options, and it's naming an album is hard.
And many bands have been here. Maroon 5 was here.
You're right.
They were here like 2 weeks ago.
They could have said
They called Maroon 5 V. They went, oh, not 5, maybe V. That'll do it. And I totally get it.
And I'd bet you that's the exact thought process.
Yeah.
Fifth album, V.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
fair
call
enough.
it Maroon 5-5.
no.
No.
Maroon 5
Maroon 5 could have worked.
Maroon. And change the band name to just Maroon.
Yeah.
So it's confusing.
I forget this is live on air.
That's good.
Is it?
Yeah, kind
it
of.
is. Cool.
But is there a realization though that happens within the group that you realize that you need to take the reins and you need to insulate what is happening creatively and like do it on your own? Like because would
Yeah.
you have been ready to do this 5 years ago?
No, just didn't have the awareness. You need to be so aware of all of it because if you want to create it, you also want to know how to release it on your terms.
Mm.
Or, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like it's part of it.
And that obviously you have that now.
We've been working on that. Yeah.
Congratulations, Mazel Tov.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I ask why Complete Mess was the perfect song to reintroduce this new era? Or I guess introduce this new era?
Before you go on a writing trip of sorts, you will consciously be like, trying to think of like, what's it going to sound like? Again, references. Like we were out there, it was very like relaxed and not really like trying to make a full album or just sort of seeing what would happen. So when we wrote Complete Mess, it was one of the first ones we wrote and we were like, oh, okay. It was the first one was like, okay, we can probably do this on our own. It sounds great. Mike's doing a great job. Band's written a great song. Everyone sounds pretty good in it. And it was like kind of a first stepping stone. And it's very rare that the first song lasts through, because we wrote, 100 plus songs between a year and a half ago and when we wrote Complete Mess and now. So there's a lot of songs that were written in between that. And it still was
just you guys?
with other people sometimes, but a lot of it was just us. So we'd written a lot of songs and that was still everyone's favorite. So it was like, well, if it's lasted this long, among like, lyrically it's really important and sonically it represents the rest of the album really well. But that was a massive thing. Like, why wouldn't it be this song that everyone still loves from the first trip? The first like song we did. It's crazy.
You gotta hit it. It really is a great song. And the music
Thank
video,
you.
by the way, aesthetically is gorgeous. Are you in a real desert or is that a green screen? Like, what is that?
That's the Pismo Beach Dunes, which it's only 2 hours from here, which is like one of the California's best kept secrets.
Secret's out.
The secret's out now.
It's just an amazing place. And, you do your best not to leave too many footprints and you treat it with respect and you try to get out of there as quick as possible. But it's a naturally beautiful place. It's amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
It's
Yeah.
a green screen.
Is it?
No. That's not- how much of a letdown would that be?
I feel a little bummed.
Just kidding. It's a great screen.
I feel like 2011 was a very important song for you guys to release, but maybe to write. Am I wrong in that?
Song's good.
Yeah. Being in a band for 10 years is like no small feat. I just feel like we were overdue for like releasing a song just for our fans who have been sticking around with us for a really long time. I mean, we just had a lot of fun doing that, and like we were just enjoying it. And we got to film this show that we did on YouTube. We got to do like a bunch of skits of like inside
Loved
jokes
it.
with our fans over the last like 10 years, and it was just like really fun, and just like it was a real celebration for us.
Plus, we needed to see if we could actually play pop punk still.
Yeah, we needed to try and keep up.
The old joints. It's pretty fast stuff.
Did you have fun making it? Like, was it cool to kind of revisit that?
Yeah, it was a big John Feldman process,
Yeah, it was awesome.
which was amazing. And that's like high octane, fast moving musical process.
Do you wish you could go back to 2011? Because that's one of the lyrics in there, like wanting to go back.
That's true. It is. Damn, you're good.
I mean, difficulty wise, I mean, what were you going to say, Cal?
No, you continue.
All right, man. Can we just go back to 2011, back to the days when the days were better? Philosophically, what was better about it was the simplicity of the nature of the way of the band. We had no expectation. No one was relying on us for anything. And we were just young goobers playing music together.
God,
And
we were
that's
gooby.
and that's kind of, to me, personally, what the song feels like from the internal perspective. It's like things were simpler. And sometimes when things get complicated again, I wish we could just go back to the way we worked things out, or the way we were back then as kids.
Things were simple, but on the cusp of getting crazy and becoming bigger than you probably could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Like you're 5 albums in. Is that insane to wrap your mind around?
Kind of, but we've been saying we're going to do this since the get-go. We're like saying to people, we're going to stick around. We're going to do this for a while. We look forward to seeing you in 10 years, And I think we truly believe that.
I think a lot of people laughed it off. A lot of people were like, "Oh yeah. Like I'm sure." In our original interviews and speaking to people back then, we were sort of like, we are going to be a band for a really long time. And
We were like really shooting for this, Like it's not even success. It's just making music, being a part of it for as long as possible.
Doing it is different than like saying it, obviously. And is that a conversation you have with each other, saying that like if we're gonna do this, we have to really do this type situation? Or did you just know that like that was a narrative that just lived within each and every one of you?
Yeah, it's funny because even when you say that, I can't remember. Like, I guess we sat down and we're like, "Oh yeah, we want to do this." I think we just said it to a lot of other people. We're
Yeah.
like, together as
Cool,
a group,
it's-
would be like, "We want to do this
Well,
for
words
a long
are
time."
words are spells. Like we
True.
say this all the time. No, we want to have but I think a lot of our decisions reflected longevity, which is the true test in this industry. What I've found is so many people have tried to make us choose the instant gratification over the longevity. And it's not because they don't know, better. It's because pop culture changes and the options change. And because of the attention span of the platforms that we're feeding people music on, the attention spans are getting smaller, so the wins are getting quicker. But we have never shot for those wins. We just go, cool, that's amazing. We'll totally get down with some of that vibe, but we're still going to make our decisions based on long perspective stuff.
Was there ever a moment over the past 10 years where any of you guys were like, maybe this isn't for me?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week.
Why do you keep going? How do you keep going? Does somebody have to you have to talk to each other about it? Or are you joking?
Not even joking.
No, we're
It
not
is
joking.
difficult. It's hard. It's confronting. It's challenging. It's heavy. It's pressurizing. It's stressful. But this is the cost, Well, personally, this is a personal philosophy, but I believe everything is dualistic. And I experience the good and the bad. And the bad of the bad gets, the good of the good gets too. And that's what I see from my perspective, So it's always worth pushing through those humps, because that's how we are where we are.
Yeah, and I think we also, as we've gotten older, can witness those humps and that sounds funny, but he can see
humps?
those things coming and you can see them going and he can understand them better. I think the times that you're probably more talking about are the ones where it's when we were a lot younger and didn't know how to handle it. Now we can sort of handle situations and understand maybe we can't do this for that long. Maybe we can't do this. We should probably do this, putting things in place to make it easier on us mentally and physically. Whereas when you are 17 and you don't know what the heck is going on, you don't know what you don't know, I guess.
Totally. Like I can make the case that it's easier today than it was in 2011 because you are aware, like you're aware of the unknowns.
Yeah. Today, I would say though, because of the expanded awareness, we feel like it's harder
Really?
than ever.
Because more people are watching and judging?
No, it's just different, you know. There's timely artists that come along generationally with pop culture, and they are suited to the current movement. For instance, we came up in Twitter and YouTube, and we're really good at chemistry together, and we love talking to people. So our main key as a group is communication, and we are good at communicating in longer form stuff. And that particular moment in pop culture, Twitter, YouTube, like really suited our communication style. So that worked for us. But where it's at now,
Short form, quick.
short form, it's different. And we like to be personal. We're lyricists. Like we think about things heavily to some extent, and we're thinkers, and we like to come up with plans and release rollouts and have twists and turns, and we create narratives and worlds and creative worlds that surround our music, you know? And that's why I would say it's harder, because we're squishing it. We're trying to squish these big ideas into really small holes. It's different.
Do you think lasting artists can exist with tiny ideas in tiny holes?
Yeah, the best artists use the tools available and don't even complain about it. They're just like, cool, this is what I got. I'll use that for sure. I'll come up with creative ways to get myself involved. And that's art. That's artistry.
Michael, you mentioned that you were using the piano to help craft music, like craft songs from the get, which is different than the way you would make music before. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like you guys would jam really hard, right? You'd play instruments?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, but that's the thing, is we've never really had one process that suits everything. You know what I mean? Like on every album and every bit of music that we've made, you know, each song is from like a totally different place. Like one song could be, you know, you start with like a guitar riff and then that evolves into something else, or you know, another song could be like, you know, start with the lyric and start from there. And I mean, you'll hear on this record a lot of it is, you know, we definitely use a lot more like keys and synth as building blocks. We just use all of the tools available to us to make best music we can.
Did you set a goal before this album? Like what did you want to accomplish?
I think that was what was incredible about this, is that we went in with no idea what we were going to do. It was just like going in, and for me anyway, personally, I can only speak for myself, but I think the goal was just to like really have fun doing it and really see what happens. And you know, I've said this a couple times, but you know, this album has been the first one that we've gone into without having, you know, something on the calendar that says start album X on this day. We just kind of went out and started hanging out with each other and then started writing music. And then, you know, after Complete Mess specifically, we were like, oh, okay, we just started an album. And it was really just organic and natural.
Are you telling a story with the album though? Top to bottom, if I listen to it? Will I hear a story? You're just staring at me with no microphone in your hand. It's uncomfortable. What are you doing?
Yeah, I feel like Ashton has a lot to say, but like,
Sometimes you gotta stop talking.
Get out of here.
I'm 25% of this joint.
Yeah, where are you at?
Callum, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I mean, every song is kind of like telling a micro story of like almost a bigger kind of idea. And I feel like the whole album is a pretty good representative of kind of where everyone's life is at right now. I mean, two guys are, you know, one's married, the other one's going to get married. And we're coming into like this place within our lives where the band is coexisting within our personal lives and not kind of the other way around. So that's been pretty
That's beautiful, actually.
liberating.
I love listening to your voice.
Yeah.
But thanks, man.
You take the next 10 questions.
Yeah. You're up.
That is special, where you can go from like your life and your work kind of weaving itself together in a very healthy way and not like rubbing against each other like sandpaper. And
Yeah.
and does love change the way you look at art? And I mean, obviously it has to share your story that you're telling.
Yeah, it definitely changes the way you look at it. And I think that's a really good point Callum's brought up. Like, the band is everything now, but it really was everything for a long time, like to the detriment of having no time at home, no personal life, no friends.
All consuming. Yeah. But it has to be that way almost if you want to succeed.
I mean, but that's like the duality that Ashton's talking about. You know, it was a lot of trying to figure that out, and being forced to be at home changes the way you look at what the band is or was at the time, and understanding it from the outside was so important coming to this album. Like, oh, okay, we love this. Like now we're making music. There's no tour planned now because we're not going to go on tour for a long time. There is now at this point, but in COVID,
we are going
on tour. But in COVID, it was like, well, what's going to happen? Like we're kind of just at home doing nothing at the moment. So it just was a different experience. It was pretty crazy to, I don't know, experience that.
Go ahead.
It's like we were practicing. Okay, so we have different roles in the band. And as I was saying, it's not just drummer. In many ways, I'm the vibe guy in this band. I'm the guy coming in early with the incense, the candles, the vitamins, the literature.
That's very true.
And I'm putting it out. And this is my real job, ladies and gentlemen.
You bring the books.
I'm just bringing, look, if you don't feel like doing music today, it's not the only way to think in a creative process. You can think in many other ways. So my particular position was, okay, how do I help heal these guys? Whether it be you should be taking magnesium, or, oh, you're experiencing anxiety, what about this book? Or, oh, you don't really vibe with the space, I'll do my best to make it feel better. And it's simple things like that I really got into
special
in this process, because I'm aware that, I was down to just hang out, and we have other things to do apart from make music, like heal ourselves. And I think if we could do that, we could definitely make music on the side.
You need it, right? Like, can you make really quality music without healing your brain or taking proper magnesium?
Yeah, it goes side by side, because the songwriter path is staying truthful and clear, being able to view yourself and view what you mean and what you want to say. And if you're all clouded up, and first you got to deal with the clouds, before you, dive in.
Amen.
And I would probably call the fourth album pretty cloudy. This album,
absolutely,
the clouds have subsided a little bit.
So we're trying to make a more positive record. We got a little dark just because that's what we were doing. But
it was dark.
It was, yeah.
It's a light time.
Dark times now call for a light album. And that's the way we think about it. It's like we see the world and we see struggle and we see our position to just like, well, we could just release. That's why our first video for Complete Mess is so bright and clear and happy and light and elevative, because we want to affect people's minds in a way that it feels like, breath of fresh air. A lot of artists went the different way and they went darker. And it's like, I don't think we should be going darker. There's room for everything. But in this band, we were kind of like, hopefully we can create some hope and positive thoughts with our physical and philosophical approach to music.
It's what people need. When is this Fresher Breath of Air coming? When does the album hit?
By the end of tomorrow, we'll probably finish mixing it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
End of tomorrow.
Something like that, yeah. And
it'll be a quick turnaround.
That's what we're shooting for. And then we're going to rehearse for the tour, and then we're going to go on tour. And then along that, the next 7 months somewhere, you'll have an album. Yeah. But I don't want to give away too much because, obviously a big part of being in a band now is releasing that attachment to nailed in dates, because there's no such thing as promises anymore.
You really have no idea.
Because the world is shifting so fast. So we have really let go of the expectation of anything happening at all.
But that is beautiful and freeing. And I've done the same thing, especially over the last 67 days. I have no expectations.
That's very specific.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been tracking it. I got a calendar in
We're
house.
both back.
Yeah, baby.
At the same time.
A breath of fresh air.
Truly. Wow.
But Michael and Callum, you guys are singing verse 2 on Complete Mess, right? Will there be a
and
lot
three,
more?
baby.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
Wow. Will there be a lot more of everyone singing on this album?
There is, yeah, definitely on this album. And kind of, we definitely made it with an intention that we each have a song that we get to push out, that you get to hear each of us individually on, which is kind of really cool.
That's different.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. It's a really good album. It's like actually a really, really, really phenomenal album.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a fan of the band in any way, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the best Five Sauce album.
Yeah,
Pretty
like
sure.
we've taken the constructive criticism of the last 10 years and made an album based on like we hear it all,
Yeah.
What is that criticism?
All you guys don't sing enough. I miss the songs that are more like rock. I miss the angst. Some people even like Don't Stop.
Well,
Some people do like Don't
Here's
Stop.
the thing.
Apparently, there are some of them out there.
and we take it all into account. You know, this is for the don't stoppers.
I
This
did
is
watch you guys rate all of your songs for an hour and a half on Twitch, and I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly
Yeah,
what you're talking
and
about.
then you guys ate tacos. It was that day. What's the problem with Don't Stop?
There's no problem with it.
It had its own category. There's gotta be some.
That's a fair rebuttal.
All right, yeah, that is totally
Okay,
fair.
okay. As a musician, here's what
There's
it's
nothing wrong
doing.
with it. It had its own category.
Here's what it's doing. There are certain beats, like for instance, like a big trap beat, like boom. You know, that means heavy. It's got weight. Bit fucking mean.
I felt it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Whereas
Oh, no,
Don't
we can
Stop's
say
going
that.
Very different.
And it's you know, it's very like doo-wop, like back in the day, you know, and that's fine, but it has an uplifting, positive, awkward energy that the band's edgier musical approach does not fit into. So it's uncomfortable for us to wear those shoes. It's like me having a 12 size boot trying to fit into a size 4 slipper. That's what that song is.
That's fair.
That's a great.
Which is like,
It's
it's
great.
cool. We dig it, but we have potentially,
Bigger feet.
yes, we
Bigger
just
shoes to
shooting
fill.
for something else these days, which is cool.
Yeah. Different.
But Don't Stop's not bad.
It really isn't.
It's
okay.
not.
I think
Yeah.
the whole category was good. Like, a Don't Stop playlist isn't the worst thing I've ever heard.
I love
Appreciate that, man.
But
Thank
can we
you.
agree
Appreciate
that it also isn't the best?
I mean, it's not the best. It's also not the worst. Like, Money, that didn't belong in the category.
Oh, but it kind of did. That's why
I don't think so.
That's why Don't Stop. You know, we didn't put it at the bottom or at the top. Don't Stop. It had its own category, smack bang in the middle.
But
it was smack bang in the middle.
Extraterrestrial.
a quick note is longevity from the internal perspective of the band is based on, are we playing music that we love today? Because that will keep us going for a long time, because we're not in the game of doing stuff we don't like to do all the time. Like, we like to make the choices that make the band happy, unfortunately, for everybody else.
You guys were in the studio and you were making that tier list. What comes, like, do you go make music after ranking all?
Yeah, we did actually.
Yeah, we did. That was like adding some stuff to the album tracks, like adding, you know, another synth part or adding another vocal that didn't sound quite right out in the desert or whatever. Like just finishing stuff after that tier list.
Yeah, the tier list was.
Tier list took priority, yeah, in that day though.
New album coming.
Yep.
Love Here. Are you really? You gonna get married?
Yeah, I think so.
You think?
No, definitely I am. What do you mean? What kind of question is that?
you said think. You said,
No, I
think
definitely
so.
am. I definitely am.
Wow. How do you know when to propose? Are you like working on it?
It just felt like the right time. I just sort of had time to think about it over COVID. Yeah, she's just, I don't want to get too cheesy. She's my best friend, love of my life, you know? So it felt, and having that time at home, like we're at home for like a full year, just like me and her chilling. And it was like, this is the best time ever.
That's how you know.
And it was just rad. It was just felt like the right time.
You want your best friend in life. Is that true? Because I hear that and I strive for it.
I mean, I'm only 25, but so far it's working. You know, if you want to be with someone for a long time, I think it would be best friend. But you know,
Michael, best friend.
Agreed. Yep. That's what I've learned. But I also, you know, with me and my wife Crystal now, it's I don't know if we were ever like best friends or if we were ever just like soulmates. You know, because it's always like best friends, but then there's a lot of stuff that like we don't really like we don't have a lot of the same interest. I guess we do have a lot of the same interests. I'm very into video games and she hates video games, but video games is very much an important part of my life that she really just doesn't like. And it doesn't really make a difference because I'm like, you know, we have such an incredible relationship anyway that I'm like, it's okay that you don't like video games. You know, I'm like, maybe that's just my thing.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, and it's totally fine. It's one of those things where it's weird because it's like when you know, you kind of just know. And it sounds so cheesy, right,
Yeah.
Luke? It's weird. But
Yeah, I don't know. It was at the time where I hate planning things, and I really wanted to plan it. You know, and I was excited about the idea of it.
we went to that first spot that you were going to propose at on the way back from Joshua Tree, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
And then we decided, well, I didn't decide anything, but Luke decided that wasn't the
Michael
place he wanted
decided
to
it was the
propose.
right time.
I said, Luke.
He said, Luke, I think it's the time.
Yeah, I think you should check this place out.
Get down on one knee. Did you get down on one knee?
Yeah, of course.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
Did you wear a knee pad?
No knee pad.
He was down there for so long while she was thinking about it.
Bad knees after touring.
Dude, it was scary. I was like, I had it all planned and I was like, I'm going to nail this. Like, I'm not nervous. Everyone says, oh, I get so nervous. And I was like, I got this. And then it got to it and I was like, oh my God, I like blacked out. I was like, what? Yeah, it was very, very nerve wracking.
But she said yes.
Yes.
Good.
No. Yes, she did.
I think so.
How long after that TikTok video you posted did you realize you made a mistake?
That's a great question. Maybe an hour or so, maybe a day. Someone brought it up. And I don't know how to use and I'm not very good at it. So I just,
Sound like your grandpa. What?
it's like the voiceover thing. And then like you save it to drafts, then you put the thing, it's like a whole thing. As soon as you put it out, then you can't take it back off or edit it at all on TikTok, which is crazy to me for an old fart like me. Yeah, so I just couldn't change it. I couldn't take it down and then put it back up again. It's like a whole thing. And then you got to write all the words out. You got to time them all. It's crazy. It's like a full-time job.
It is.
Making TikToks is really like, there's a lot of like, you need to be like a pro editor to use that app. Todd.
Which is going to be a new dawn for some amazing artists, I reckon.
I was just going to tie it back to you. You got to make the most of the tools you got, right?
Exactly. Exactly, Zach. Exactly.
Are you good at TikTok, Zach?
No. Dan does ours.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm too old.
Dude, it's hard.
It's so difficult.
It's really hard.
You feel
And
me
then-
on the timing thing though, right? The timing the words thing is so time consuming.
And the not being able to go back and edit anything
my
is very
God.
frustrating.
Callum, do you use TikTok?
You would-
Yeah. I use TikTok.
You sound like you're lying about it.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Suspicious.
Yeah. I find most of my like algorithm is like outdoors or like, artists, visual artists. It's
Nice.
very wholesome.
Am I in your algorithm?
Yeah, your video did come up and I said,
it?
Well, he's put married. He's going to get a lot of shit for that.
Did you really think that?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
Oh, wow.
You thought that? I didn't
Not,
think
Yeah.
not a text.
I said,
Not even a text. What's going on?
no, I said he'll find out. He probably knows before I do.
Right, so it was like you made your bed, now sleeping in box.
Pretty much.
And you just
yeah.
went to keep scrolling on his For You page.
Anyway.
Well,
God,
man.
not my problem.
Back to red pandas.
A men chopping wood or something.
Yeah, they're occasionally men chopping wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's outdoors.
God,
Right, you
TikTok
can't-
is so weird.
You can't linger on that stuff too long, or else
What, the
it's-
men chopping wood?
Yeah, it
And then
fills your
then
feed.
your
Yeah.
whole algorithm is men chopping
Chopping
wood.
wood.
Yeah.
Can't have that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Now, I know we're squished for time, but do you know about kind of, for lack of better words, pirate radio?
Yes.
Have you ever thought about putting your gear on a boat, sailing out to international waters, and saying whatever you want, whenever you want?
Josh, who is my manager, is in the other room, who's going to freak out that you're pitching this idea because it's literally come up for years about we were going to get like a boat
Yeah.
and go into the ocean
Yeah.
and then try to hijack an FM frequency.
Yeah, you can buy them.
Yes, yes. But you do need some loose license. You got to acquire a boat because, you can't put equipment on a kayak.
Right.
But I have thought of it. Yes.
I'm just saying, dude, when this happens, I'll be in the dinghy behind going, I'll be looking for a job, to be honest. It sounds really fun, at least for a month. I'll do the
You're a
interning.
month off in international waters.
next time I lose my radio show, I will take the show to international waters.
Next time.
Hopefully there won't be a next time. Knock on wood.
There won't be.
And to be honest, I didn't even lose the show the last time. I kind of just left.
I think
Should we get into it?
creative freedom,
Maybe.
everyone loves the interviews you guys do, so
Yeah.
we appreciate you keeping
Yeah.
it afloat, moving it wherever it needs to be, because we love this stuff. So
God,
you guys are awesome.
It's couldn't be more mutual. I love and appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you so much for sharing your art. And I do think you need to go back there, but I would you need to listen. One, obviously, to Complete Mess. We'll put a link somewhere. But I'm asking you, please, 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 please. You got to listen to these two guys' solo projects as well. When facing the things we turn away from, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, thanks, man.
And Super Bloom. I mean, really, two of the most vulnerable bodies of work I maybe ever heard. Like, really, truly. Like, I got to know you guys in a way that I hadn't been able to get to know you before.
Thanks. And it wouldn't be without our boys to the right of us here, Mike and Cal.
Yeah, definitely.
These guys support us all the way.
Are we getting a Michael or a Callum solo project?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
We'll see. It's all eyes on the band at the moment, so it's pretty hard to make 2 records at once.
We have a 5th album coming.
5 songs,
We
5.
do.
Yeah, best one yet. Yeah, should we go back to the name thing?
songs,
Yeah, that sounds weird.
Yeah, 5th record. Wow. I like the way Callum says it. 5th record.
Say it again.
Yeah, 5th record. Recky.
On that note, 5 Seconds of Summer. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Thank
for having us.
you.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Are we going to fun music now?
Yeah. I'll play a song. Should we play one of your songs?
Oh, please.
Coming to you live from the
Don't
middle of the
stop.
Pacific Ocean.
Definitely don't stop. Don't stop acoustic, Ash. I know you love that.
Are we still live? So this is still live?
Yeah.
We're still live.
I mean, we're about to not be. You ready?
Oh.